Hi, everyone, and welcome to MasterClass Live, and happy Earth Day. This is a new initiative of ours that allows members to connect directly with our instructors in an up-close and personal format. Given the current climate, we're providing this normally members-only benefit free for anyone to access for the foreseeable future. For those of you new to MasterClass, welcome. We are an online learning platform that allows anyone to learn from the absolute best. We have more than 80 classes right now on our roster with an incredible lineup of instructors, people like Thomas Keller and RuPaul and Neil deGrasse Tyson. And here with us today is the inimitable Kelly Wearstler. Kelly recently taught our first class on interior design, lifting the hood on her creative philosophies, sharing her tips for working with color and pattern and layering, and allowing us an intimate window into her world. Kelly's residential, commercial, retail, and hospitality projects, as well as her product designs, have garnered her numerous awards and graced the pages of everything from Vogue to Elle Decor to Forbes. Celebrated for her dimensional, experiential work, she has been named to Architectural Digest's AD 100, Elle Decor's A-List, and Time Magazine's Design 100, and the list goes on and on. She is world-renowned and one of a kind. My name is Serena. I'm a senior creative producer at MasterClass, and as you can see, I'm still trying to figure out how to fully embrace color in my space. Kelly, thanks for being with us today.
Hi, thank you so
Hi.
much for having me. I'm excited to be here. And this is my first live anything, so I'm so happy it's with you guys.
Live is exciting and anything can happen. So we're gonna go on this journey together. You talk in your class really beautifully about design as telling a story. Can you talk about what that means?
Sure. So design is telling a story about anything. It could be telling a story about you and your home. When somebody comes over to your house, what people walk into says everything about you. Are you an organized person? Are you a risk taker? Do you love color? Do you not love color? Would you collect art? Do you like books? Are you a reader? Do you love music? So your home tells you, tells somebody so much about you and your story. And it's the same thing when you go to a restaurant. Are you going to a restaurant that serves Mediterranean food? The design might have a Mediterranean flair and design. And are you traveling? Are you going to Japan? So that design at that hotel tells the story about where you are. So the story is such an important part of design in what we do.
You obviously do rather high-end work, but I know that you're also a firm believer that good design can and should be accessible to everybody, that good design is really democratic in its essence, right?
Yes.
So I would love for you to explain what good design is to you and how design might be impacting our lives in ways that maybe we don't even recognize.
Well, I mean, good design it impacts in our everyday life. It's, for example, how if we're functional, it's like where you want to go and stay. Like everyone goes to their favorite restaurant, their favorite coffee shop, because it makes them feel good and the design is great. And it impacts everything we do. It makes us feel good. It makes us feel confident. It makes us feel loved because you're in your cocoon. So design is such an important part of everyday life and so important.
I can attest to this, I think in particular when I'm in your hotels and there's this like incredible confluence, not only of them feeling like so aesthetically rich and dimensional and pleasing, they just make you happy, but there's also this incredible functionality component where you're seeing all these little design elements that actually like make your life and your experience easier. So it's like, I think sometimes that's a component of design that maybe people miss, that it's like, it's the aesthetics, but it's also the functionality, right?
Yeah, it's because you have like a great chair. And if you're going to entertain and you're going to have a drink, like what is the table that people put their drink on? If you're serving food, what is that table? What is that server or that credenza that is serving the food? And if you're looking at a book or you're doing some sort of painting, like what is the light? So functionality goes hand in hand with great design. It's so important to consider the height of a table, the height of a sofa, where is the lighting, and how are you lighting art. It all really is works together, is a crucial part of design.
And when it's right, you just know it. It's like in your bones.
Yes, yeah, you know immediately. I mean, when something feels good, you know. I mean, it's like when you meet somebody that you like, it's like the energy's there. If something's off, then you know, and you should continue to work on it, and you should continue to move furniture around or bring new pieces in, and you know in your gut when things are right. And it should be right for you, because it's all different for everyone else. It has to be right for you because this is your home. This is your workplace. This is where you spend all of your time. So you know in your gut if it's right.
Yeah, I think that's such an important note, that it is really, design is deeply personal at the end of the day. We're going to dig so much into that. I want to get to some of the many member questions we received. Reading through all of the submissions, it's clear, A, that people are loving your class, and also that understandably, we're pouring a lot of efforts into wanting to make our homes as pleasing as possible as we're in this period of forced nesting, right? So we are going to dive into some of that. Our first question is from Bejewel with a timely ask. She says, how do I improve the energy and feeling of a windowless small home office?
So that is, that's tough, but there's so many opportunities in that space. Not having a window, you can create dimension by having a mirror. And so, for example, if you have a small room in the back of your house or the back of your apartment, and you want to make it, for example, your workspace, what I would do is I would probably bring in a floor to ceiling mirror, and I would rest it against the wall and put in some sort of interesting pendant, some sculptural lamp, and I would place it in front of the mirror. And that's going to create a sense of dimension, and it's going to create sexy lighting. I would also look at dark spaces. I feel are really great with richer color. So painting the walls and the ceiling in one cohesive color. You could look at also having another mirror on the opposite side of the room, which creates this sort of kind of infinite space. And really it'll make your space come alive, and perhaps a rug that also will reflect in the mirror, and it creates magic. It's quite beautiful.
I think sometimes when we think about home offices, we think about them as being these sort of like spare spaces for filing our papers. But I love the idea of bringing in mirrors and like sexing it up a little,
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be, it can be done in a really like sophisticated way. And even if you just want one mirror, for example, having the mirror, but it's reflecting like an incredible piece of art that you have. And really it's acting as a window. It's creating dimension in a space that if you don't have a window, that it's creating that depth of perception.
You have obviously designed your fair share of home offices. What do you find are the things that make the most impactful difference from an aesthetic and a functionality standpoint in home office spaces?
Well, I mean, today it's like we're nomads. We really can work anywhere, and like just the old school of thought that you need like this big heavy desk with all these drawers, like you really don't need that anymore. I mean, you have your computer, all your filing systems are there, and so you're super light on your toes like with work. And so really, I mean, just like a super simple table. And like one of the things that I always say is like organization is the key to success. Like being organized is so important. And if you just have clutter and like everywhere, like it just creates chaos. And then you almost add more clutter. So it's just good not to have, that's what like the cabinet's for. And I'm always a believer. I'm like every like couple months, just go through your stuff and get rid of what you do not need. And so really just paring down. And then when you bring these pieces of furniture in and these like the lighting and the rugs and you add color or what, or wall covering, then you let the design like have the importance, and it's a place now that you want to be.
You know, I'm feeling a little called out in this moment because I feel like I often think when I'm wanting to do a refresh on my space that I need to be bringing more things in. And sometimes I realize that when I just take some things out, it feels a lot better. And maybe it doesn't require anything new, right?
Yeah, but you know, and also like I grew up in a home that had stuff everywhere. My mom collected a lot of things, and there's family photos, which I love. I love having family photos around, and objects of things that I brought back from my travels. But you have to do it in an organized fashion so that it's not just like a bunch of stuff. Like there's a hierarchy of design. Like what is the statement piece in your room? If you want all of your photographs, like they're all in one space and it becomes one moment instead of just stuff everywhere. And then it can become like a little too much for the eye and then make the room start feeling a little chaotic.
And can you, when you are talking about like the focal point or the statement piece in the room, can you essentially decide what you want that thing to be and play it up? Or is it sort of the thing that your eye most naturally goes to?
You know, it's up to you. It could be a piece of art. It could be a coffee table. It could be an incredible light fixture. It could be the window. The window to this insane tree outside your window is the statement piece in the room. So you really want to pick like what is the one thing that is like the drama, that one thing. And it could be quiet drama. It doesn't have to be like loud and a major statement. It could be a rug. It could be a chandelier. It could be an incredible sculpture, piece of art. It can be many different things, but it's important to have hierarchy. So you're not, your eyes just, everything's just fighting for your attention. And, you know, have that one piece and then like having like groups of furniture that kind of too tell like one story. And within those stories, there is like something that has more of a statement and another thing that kind of just is like the quiet friend that helps the other one shine.
You have this amazing line in the class where you say something along the lines of like, if everything is fighting to be the star in the room, then you're going to end up with a cat fight, which
yes, which definitely has happened. You have too many things that are in the room that are vying for the attention, and it's just it's can be like too much.
got to decide who's going to be the star. Okay, Maria is dealing with what she says is a room having a bit of an identity crisis. It's fitting. She says it's a guest bedroom with a queen size bed in it, but it also holds a treadmill that she and her family use often. She asks, can I successfully marry a workout room and a guest bedroom into one space? What do you say?
And I think it's great. I love people who have gyms at home. I mean, we can work out anywhere, and this time is like so proven that. So I think not having a bed, like what if it's a sofa and it pulls out to a bed? If it 90% of the time it's a gym, then you really don't need the bed. And then it just provides more room. And it can still look so nice. And just paring it down, it's like having your sofa, and then instead of like a coffee table, you have like a small table, a lamp, and you're just creating like a sense of place that is clean, and you're working out and you want your mind focused on your workout, and it can still be a great space. And also like having nice light, which is so important, like not having like down lights in a workout space, it just doesn't feel good. Like maybe have a couple sconces, or you have a lamp on a table or a bench, and it's just cool and simple.
You know, for Maria, it's a guest bedroom and a workout room, but I think a lot of us are in the position right now where we have rooms as we're at home more than ever that are playing double or even triple duty. What to you makes for like a most beautiful or functional multi-use space? Is it kind of like that point that you were making about, you know, a couch that can turn into a bed, things that can sort of transform?
Just things that are versatile. And if you have a place that maybe your treadmill is behind like a folding screen, and like you don't want to see it all the time, and if the room's big enough, that would be amazing. And then you can just close the folding screen up, your treadmill's there as a gym, but then if somebody's staying there, it's still like a nice room, and the screen can be quite beautiful. It could be a folding screen that that is skinned in fabric or leather or some sort of really cool timber screen. And it makes it really much more functional. It can serve as an office and be a multi-use space.
I love that idea, like artful ways of concealing things.
Yes, yes.
You know, I have a rule in our house, or maybe our only house rule is that we don't bring our computers into the bedroom, because it's really important that we keep the bedroom separate from any work stuff entering our psyche. And I wonder if you have any like tips or rules in terms of how you keep your relaxation spaces and your workspaces separate, especially right now where everything seems to be melding together.
So I do not bring my computer in bed. I think it just like gets you so jacked up. Like I did it like a few years ago and just did not sleep well. And so, you know, I make sure, like I personally do not look at my computer 2 hours before I go to bed. So I think it's important in anyone's home to have a space where if it's your living room, like these places, again, you can work anywhere, but really keeping your bedroom, you know, off limits. It's a place of, you know, where we unwind and have like quiet time and really like too with whoever you're with in bed is having like conversation and communication and really, you know, reading and doing things that I think are good for our soul and make the bedroom this like really like special place.
Sacred spaces, yeah, so important. Okay, this one is from Christina. She asks, how can we set up small living spaces like a living room or a kitchen so they're still beautiful but also functional and not cluttered? I'm definitely not a minimalist in terms of art pieces and home decor, but we do live in a small space.
So making it feel just less cluttered.
Yeah, but she wants it to also feel beautiful and functional and not spare.
So I think that, you know, a trick that I really love, and this too, with just a lot of vintage furniture that I love and I buy, is like really looking at things that have lower profiles, things that are on legs. Like if you look at the sofa behind me, this is a Scarpa sofa, and the seat height is only about like 15 inches. And typically seat heights in chairs are about 18 to sofas, it could be 20. So having like really low profile furniture really helps a space feel larger. Having things on legs, a coffee table on legs, where your eye can kind of travel through, and it makes a space feel lighter and less heavy.
Right, you have a point that you make in the class, right, about your eye not getting stuck in a space. Can you speak to that?
Sure. And like when you walk into a room, your eye should travel around. You have windows, you have furniture that your eye can travel through, whether it's a bench or a light fixture that calls your attention, and your eye just kind of travels around a room. And so having things at different heights as well. Like you can see the cabinet behind me. I have the low sofa, and I have this really unique cabinet behind me. So your eye is moving around the room, and there's interesting points, and you can discover things later. Like I love going to a place that you know, maybe it's a hotel that I love going to, and every time I go back I experience something new. And that's like, I think what good design is it doesn't just like present itself and like, here I am, but you really discover like, oh my God, that wood is like so cool. It has like a really interesting texture to it, and the fabrics and really discovering as time goes on.
This is something that is so abundantly apparent in the lobby at the Santa Monica Proper Hotel that you designed, where, I mean, how many different chairs do you have in that space? I've been there probably 10 or 11 times, and every time I'm there, it feels like I'm seeing it for the first time. It's amazing.
There's a lot of chairs in there, but it's fun. Like I'm a sucker for chairs. I should actually have that on the back, a sticker on the back of my car. But I love chairs, and they're sculpture to me. And so, and that's a place where people are gathering. So really over the course of the project, you know, I traveled all over and really found those special, unique pieces that told the story of the hotel. And some of the chairs have the original leather, and so there's like a really gorgeous patina. Or a chair that looks kind of like similar to a shell, or another chair that is from the 80s that is reminiscent of like a bird with wings. And so there are many different chairs that actually tell a story, and they work in synergy and look beautiful together.
They all seem to have their own unique personalities.
It's like a dinner party. Like there's a cast of characters there.
It's a big cast of characters for sure. You also have this really great concept in your class where you talk about designing a space like a boat. I love this concept. Will you talk about it?
Oh, sure. So I don't think, like, when we design, like whether it's new construction or old construction, and we're working on the interior architecture, is literally considering every space. Like if there is a 4-inch recess in a wall, it's like, let's skin the wall in wood, and it's a hidden door, and you can store things in there. Like for example, it could end up being just like this interesting dry bar. You're in your living room, and this wall opens up, and it's all like a dry bar, or there's wine or something. We have a couple projects where we have like these very small recesses in bathrooms or closets, and all we do is we open them up, we skin the walls with doors, and then you open them up, we put mirror in the back, and it's, even though it's 3 to 4 inches deep, like you can put all of your beauty products, you can put toiletries and many different things. So really considering every space, because we all have things that we want to store, and then it just lets everything that doesn't need to be out away, so your great design can shine.
Smart. For those of you just tuning in, this is MasterClass Live. We're here with the one and only Kelly Wearstler, who is helping to solve our very timely work from home and multi-use space woes. Some more member questions for you. I'm going to switch gears a little. Lauren wants to know what questions you ask a client to help you represent them within their own space. Where do you start?
Well, you really, when a client hires you, you want to be like a great listener, and you're designing for them. And we want to help them tell like their story and how they want to live, what they want to be surrounded by, what their style is. And sometimes clients know exactly what they want, which I love. That's great. It's amazing, because I love clients that have a point of view. And I always say, like with clients, I learn so much from them. I take away so much from each project. They, might collect something I knew nothing about. And then I take that knowledge and I'll, bring it to another client. Like I had this client that really wanted, who was incredibly organized, and and I bring that to my next client. And then there are clients too that aren't quite sure what they want. And so really really having conversations with them, showing them the different things that are out there, and help educate them. And they all end up having a point of view. They don't know how to express it, but really listening to them, having conversations, taking them to places that they really like the design, and seeing what they like about the design. And really engaging with them, and it really will help tell you a lot about how they want to live.
It seems like it's almost a little bit like therapy or detective work, where with some people who don't quite know how to articulate what they want, or they don't know what they want, like you're sort of looking for the clues and trying to figure out what they actually mean.
Yeah, and even during the process of design, clients will say, Kelly, I don't know, I don't like that. And it's like, you know what? It's like, no big deal. There's a million ways to design something. And if that doesn't work for you, then we'll go back and show you something else. It's good to have an open mind, and things turn out better so many times when you're pushed. It's like, okay, I understand, they might want to go in a different direction, but it always ends up like to benefit the project. And you want to make your client, like, of course, the happiest. It's like we're in a service business. We're here to provide and create beautiful design and create an amazing experience for our clients.
Well, I think that's a testament to you and your continued openness and humility, that even at this stage in the game, that you're just like constantly staying open to other people's ideas, staying fluid, evolving.
Yeah, it's about learning. I mean, that's the best part of like this job, and I love it so much, is you're constantly learning, and that's like, so it just like fuels me every day. Is like you're learning something, whether it's from your fabricator, it's from somebody on the team at the studio, it could be from your client. It's, you just have an open mind.
This is, of course, what we at MasterClass are all about. Okay, we have a question from Sophie. She is looking for advice for making a small New York City rental apartment your own on a budget. Like very relevant for a whole lot of us.
Yes. So, I mean, I look at, really, and I love color, and it's such a big way to impact your surroundings. And if you're fortunate enough to have someone that will let you paint, I think that is a great vehicle for really saying something about you and making your space unique. And it doesn't, it can be a certain shade of white, and it can also be, a color. And if you can't paint, like I look at art. I mean, art is so amazing, and there's so many incredible artists out there. And there's emerging artists. There's things, art out there at all different price points. And so looking at investing in a piece of art, and not buying everything at one time. Like really, it's like if you're gonna cook and you're gonna make some sauce. And I was thinking about this the other day because I've been cooking, and I made some like pasta sauce. And I did it like in 30 minutes one night. And then another night I did it in 3 hours, and it was so much better. And I was like thinking about how it relates to cooking. And it's the same thing with design. Like if you rush, if you buy all your stuff at like one place, it's a little benign and not as interesting. But if you really take your time and consider every piece you buy, whether it's art or chairs or a rug or just anything, and just do it slowly. Like there's no rush. As long as you have like a bed to sleep in, like, do it slowly. And you will find great deals. There are many places to shop, flea markets, auctions. Every city has, great markets, even going to like yard sales. I mean, that's so fun, finding like these cool treasures, and just taking your time, not buying all your stuff in one place. And then you will create a home that is yours, and it feels more collected and interesting.
Flea markets and yard sales just like gave me goosebumps. I'm like, oh my God, the day that we can enjoy these things again, one day on the horizon. I think to your point about art, I think art, like design, can feel really daunting to people, and they're worried about making the wrong call. What's your sort of rubric for choosing a piece of art, especially if people are on a budget? Is it just about whether it makes you feel something, and if it speaks to you, is that enough?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's if it speaks to you, and it doesn't have to be a large piece. A large piece or a small piece can be just as important and just as powerful. And it's how you place it in a room. And if you hang, and also look at hanging art in an unexpected place. Like it doesn't have to be in the middle of the wall. Take a piece of art and put it really close to like your cased opening at your door. And you'll see it's just doing these unusual things like that feels good to you is helping you to get your design voice and your design spirit out there. Just play around. I mean, it's just moving furniture around, and you'll see what feels good.
And what about scale? Like, I think the old adage is that like if you have a big wall, you should put a big piece of art on it, and a smaller wall should have a smaller piece of art. Where do you stand on that?
I think it could be anywhere. It's anything is is open. And a small piece of art, again, can be just as powerful as a large piece. And it doesn't have to, art doesn't have to be on the wall. Art could be a sculpture, and art could be a piece of furniture that's designed by an incredible furniture artist. It could be a lamp. And there's so many incredible artifacts and designs that come in many shapes and sizes and materiality. And it's just being open. It doesn't have to be like a wall hanging. It could be so many things. It could be an incredible light fixture that truly is a piece of art. So really being open to that.
100%. Okay. Oh, I have to also ask you another one of the old adages for people who are furnishing on a budget is that you should spend the money on your couch and on your bed from a furniture perspective. What do you say to that?
So, I mean, they're the largest things in the room, and they're important because they're large and you want them to be comfortable. And so, it really, I think that if you're smart, you can spend money in all places and to consider all things. It's just being there, just knowing kind of also like where to shop online. If you go online and you see an amazing chair that you want, and it's like, well, and you can't afford it. It's like, well, why do I like that chair? I like it because it has wood and leather. Well, it's an expensive chair, so maybe now go and look for that chair in some sort of like vintage, whether you go online and really price compare and just be smart about what you're buying. These are things that you want to have in your home for a long time. Maybe they move from room to room, like as you maybe move into a bigger place, or you redesign as you go. So invest in things that really feel quality. It's the craftsmanship. It's the material. It's the lines of a piece of furniture. So really consider all that.
Putting in the time is so key.
Putting in the time, yes. With anything, you have to put in the time with anything you do, period.
Oh my God. I just moderated one of these with Dominique Ansel a couple of weeks ago, the pastry chef, and he was saying exactly the same thing. There are no shortcuts in baking, and there are no shortcuts in good design. There's
So true.
Yeah, no shortcuts in anything that's really worth it, apparently, which is hard for me because I'm impatient. Okay, Deirdre has a question. She says, what if you're sick of all of your furniture and decor, but you can't afford a full redo? What are some easy fixes to refresh your look? And I would imagine a lot of people are feeling this way right now, stuck in our homes.
So just looking at moving furniture around, and so you can recover existing pieces, you can refinish and restain and give a chair, a table, anything a completely new life. And maybe there's like one thing you want to invest in. Maybe it's a new rug. It's a really large component to a room. Maybe you want to look at an incredible light fixture that is something that's large in the room, and at night it completely transforms your space. And lighting is so important and a powerful part of design in any room. And then what is on your walls too, and it could be a wall covering, and you don't have to commit to all 4 walls. You could have one wall in your space that has a really makes a statement and has like a really great color. Maybe the finish of the color is like a plaster, or it has some sort of lime wash. There are many different types of paint and application. And maybe you want to do something graphic on one wall, and you have a friend who is an amazing mural artist. So there are many different things that you can do to change your space up, and just some of those tricks really will go a long way.
Yeah, and if you're in a position where, we can't afford some of the more pricey materials, things like plaster or painting a wall covering can be really affordable, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, and when I was in my first apartment, I painted myself. I was just like, you know what? Like, I can afford to paint, and I just like painted. I got a couple friends, and we got some wine, and we just had like a good old time. And then the next day, voila, like I had this gorgeous room.
There are actually few things more satisfying than painting a room in your house.
I know. It's awesome. It's so awesome.
It is. Okay, we were just talking about lighting, and I love this question from Abby. She says, for temporary homes and apartments, do you have any tricks to naturally light dark spaces, or how can that darkness be embraced and not feel like a forgotten corner?
So again, the lighting, it's can come from the ceiling. It can come from the a lamp on a table, and really looking at what the light source is lighting. Like if it's lighting a white wall, it's not as like interesting. But if it's lighting a wall that has color and there is some sort of like texture to that paint, that it really helps create some dimension.
Love that. I am a huge stickler for lighting. I often find that it's sort of the X factor in a really great restaurant or a home. It's like the thing that makes you feel sexy and kind of magical and makes you want to come back to a place. And you say something in the class about sort of like levels of lighting and the importance of your eyes sort of moving around a space. Can you talk about that? Because I think it's so cool.
Yeah, so there are many different types of lighting. There is natural light, which is like the best. And then there's architectural lighting, which really accentuates architecture. So if you have portals, or you have cased openings, or art, like it really helps to highlight architectural moves and important factors in your space. And those can come from the ceiling. Those could be a wall light that also highlights architecture, a sconce. So looking really at your architecture, like what do you want to highlight? What are the important architectural factors in your space? And then looking at like whether it's a pendant or a chandelier or a lamp, it's like these other types of light that really make the space, makes your eye travel around the space. So if you have a chair and you have a lamp next to the chair, and that's almost like, you know, a task light, it's a lower light. And then you have another sconce that's above, and your eye just kind of moves around the space at night, and it really creates a mood. And of course, having everything on dimmers is really important. And it helps too to create zones in your space, and it helps to create depth of perception, and make your space more interesting.
God, do I love a dimmer. It's like so transformative to a space immediately, like mood shift.
Yes, yes.
Okay, this question is from Alex. She says there's an increasing awareness around where the things we buy come from and how the businesses we support other people. What categories of home goods and decor items do you recommend that allow shoppers to support craftspeople and artisans? Super important.
You know, that I think is like when you travel and you go to places all over the world, you really like want to bring things and take back with you. So I think like ceramics, things that are authentic to your area, whether it's like timbered objects, a bench in wood, and different, and things that are like easy to transport. I think that you know, I'm such a believer in the emerging artists, and I love to support them, and all these places that you go to, and everyone wants to bring something back with them that is a memory, and you're giving love. There's so many artists all over the world. I mean, being, you know, on Instagram, and that is an open platform all over the world. You can discover artists anywhere, and it's been such a incredible thing to work with many of these people.
Given that right now none of us are traveling, are there ways, I mean, you just mentioned Instagram, but like, are there sort of ways of engaging with artisans and craftspeople and supporting small business in a more virtual format?
Well, yeah, because all on Instagram, you discover all these artists, and you just DM them, and I'll say, "Oh my God, I just saw your incredible designs, and I'd like to use something in a project." And you know, I go to their website, and we start a dialogue, and that's how I meet many of the people that we work with, and it's awesome. And you know, that is a way. I mean, of course, travel is a little difficult now, but you know, we can shop all over the world. I mean, we really can. And it's a beautiful thing. And it just brings, it brings the world together, being able to do that.
God, people must freak out when they see they have a DM from you interested in their work. Oh God, I would think.
I love it. I really I so enjoy it. It's like, it's the thrill of the find. It's like, oh my God, that's so insane. Like, and so I just reach out to them. I mean, there's so many talented people out there, and it's such a joy, and I get so much pleasure out of working with them. And again, they teach me things, and it's just, it's super fun.
It's true. When you find that one piece that feels unique to you for whatever reason, you never really forget it. And you find yourself enjoying it in your space over and over again. I just went down like an Etsy rabbit hole for ceramics because I can't go out and shop right now. And I probably spent like 7 hours. And at one point I was like, I'm just wasting so much time. But then I found like the perfect small business, and I was so into his vibe, and things came. And now every time I look at them, they bring me joy. So again, it's worth the time, right?
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay, Hunter is moving into his first bachelor pad and wants some tips for decorating a masculine 1-bedroom apartment.
So I would say that, so masculine, like that, like the first thing I think of is like rich color. And it can be in the furniture, it can be on your walls. But of course, like what's important, bachelor pad, you also think of like sexy lighting. So it's important to not have just like down lights. Like you want to have different types of light. You want to have sconces, you want to have lamps, maybe a pendant over a dining table, and really just like richer woods, richer color. And just making it comfortable, having it also like really like well designed, and not cluttered, and just like clean, and you know, great art.
When I think of a bachelor pad, I think about the fact that said bachelor is probably wanting to welcome other people into his space.
So like, the lighting is so important. Like the lighting is key.
Lighting.
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you want to, like, you know, make whoever's over there, make them feel like good and sexy, and you know, lighting's important.
Lighting is so important. Okay, Katie has a question for you. She says, how can I give my home a cozy ambiance? We're kind of just talking about this. I love how you design such beautiful eclectic spaces that appear to have been collected over time. It's maybe sort of a reiteration of what you said.
So just, again, taking your time, not buying all of your furniture. Like, I know, I have friends who are like, oh, I went out and I like furnished my whole house today. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, you cannot do that. You have to really like take your time, and not buying, if you buy all your furniture at one place, a lot of times it just has the same hand. It looks kind of the same. It doesn't have like, and it doesn't tell like your story. Like, you just feel kind of, it's like designed out of, you know, it's just, I call it like a drive-by. It's just like easy, and things that are easy don't look great, because it's like, you know, you want to really collect and think about what things you want to be surrounded with. Like, we all have something to like. Is it music? Like, do you play guitar? Then like do something interesting with displaying your guitar. Do you love art? Do you like books? And really look at what you like, what you gravitate towards, and potentially start, you know, collecting something, supporting all these incredible local and artists that are all over the world, that that can create beauty for your space and make it unique and say something about you.
We seem to have this theme coming up again and again about patience and taking your time with things, especially with good design. It makes me wonder if you've always been a really patient person, or if you cultivated that over time.
Oh God, that's such a good question. I mean, I guess I'm patient. I am. And, you know, just with anything, like it, of course, we all like a little instant gratification. And like design, like the process takes a long time. Like some of our projects, I mean, most of them are like 3, 4, and 5 years. And of course we have projects that are a year, but the majority of them are quite long. And so we do have the fortunate value of time. So like, for example, in the Santa Monica Proper Hotel, that project was 4 years. And like, I didn't start shopping at the end. I started like day one, and I started looking for things that I thought felt like the project, things that were reminiscent of shells, or things that felt like you were at the beach in these really sensual forms. So I just, taking your time and just doing, and you're going to find all this amazing, if you're looking for stone, you want to have, a gorgeous bathroom with marble, and not rushing and just going to the stone yard and picking the first thing you see. Like, I will literally go to stone yards every morning and look for the perfect stone that has a perfect veining for the project, because it at the end, it just makes such a difference.
We're in a position right now where, a lot of people can't shop, not only because we can't leave and go to places physically, but, for financial considerations. But I think that there's something really inspiring in what you're saying, and that it sounds like sort of the discovery process and the research process is so important that even if we can't immediately change our spaces, like in the physical right now, we can be spending this time and sort of brainstorming and finding inspiration, right?
And it's planning, and yeah, I mean, that's so important. Part of the process is putting together, like, what do you want? Again, going back to the story, what do you want to do? Like, you have your one room in your home, or you have an entire house, and putting together a vibe page, or putting together something on Pinterest, or taking things out of magazines, and just like laying them out and really studying them, and making a plan, and that will help you with your execution, and put together a timeline of, I want to, if I have to work on the architectural part first and then furniture, but at least you have a plan and you have a direction, and that will help you in your journey of creating this great space.
Mm-hmm. This reminds me of your vibe trays. Will you tell people about your vibe trays? I love them.
Oh, so these are trays, like, just they're trays that we have in the studio, and they are all the moving parts of all of our projects. So like, every like, if we're working on a residential project, and say there are 5 rooms, or 5 bedrooms, kitchen, every room has its own tray, every space, and it's all the fabrics, or it is cut sheets of things that we may be purchasing. It could be rug fibers of, we're having like a custom rug made, and the materiality for the closet, the tile for the bathroom. There might be finishes for the plumbing fixtures, and everything in that space is in the tray. And so we keep it so it's always like kind of moving around, because one day the client could come in and say, you know what, I want to change the color, or I want to add something in. And it's kind of this like moving, it's always like moving into, it's always, what is the word I'm looking for? It's always blossoming, I guess you would say.
Blossoming. I love that. So then, like, the at-home version of that is kind of making your own mood board of sorts, whether that's online or actually pulling things out of magazines, seeing how they play off of each other.
Yeah, and if you find something online, and you want to request fabrics, like, people should feel fine about calling somebody and say, you know what, I see this great chair online, and it's really difficult for me to see what the fabric is. Can you send me a sample? 90% of the people they're going to send you the sample. I mean, so start gathering things, like go to, a store and just ask for samples, bring everything back to your home, and you can start gathering your own vibe tray, and then you can see the room and design come together.
I have never had the chutzpah to call someone and ask for a fabric swatch. So thank you for giving me that permission.
And another thing is just because we all shop online and we buy online, that that when you buy furniture or lighting, anything, it's so hard to tell scale. And like, you know, when I first started, I remember I bought this mirror and I could have sworn, and I looked at the measurements, I could have sworn it was like 4 feet, like this big thing. I got it and it was like this big. And I was just like, oh my God, what is going on? And so that is like a big thing that you have to always like really study the scale and the dimensions, and ask somebody to sit in a chair, or if you have a dining chair that you're interested in getting, have the person take a photo of somebody sitting in the chair with a dining table, and it will really help you to understand the scale of an object or a light fixture or an accessory or anything that you're buying. Like, you know, everyone's so amazing and so helpful at all these businesses, and it's great. It's a great tool.
So smart. I love it. Okay. For those of you just tuning in, again, this is MasterClass Live. We are here with the wildly acclaimed designer, Kelly Wearstler, who teaches our masterclass on interior design. She has been so kindly answering member questions. Before we wrap up, I want to go through a few photo submissions with you, things that could use your expert eye. We're gonna pull up the first one. This picture is from Garrett. He asks, as a person renting, can you recommend some key things we can do to help make a small LA cottage with mountain views feel just as beautiful on the inside? Recock the tub, make curtains, sand the floors. We'd love tips on a budget. What do you see?
So looking at this space, because it is kind of right now, it's like one space, and it's just like not confident. There's like stuff everywhere, and you can see there's no focal point. So if we start with the architecture and what can we do to this architecture? So like what I see is this really nice portal that has these rounded edges. And so you really have one space, but you also could have potentially 2 different spaces. I see there's like a bookshelf with a stereo in the back, and then you do have these windows that look like there is an amazing view. So with the architecture, I would say, what is the bookshelf like? What if we add like completely cover the bookshelves with books, and then look at this portal that separates the spaces, and perhaps it's like skinned in wood. I also think it would be great to look at color, and perhaps the office has one color and then the room in the foreground has another color. And they could be colors that work very closely together. Like maybe this first room in the foreground is like terracotta, and then the back room is like a faded rose color, like something that's very muted and earthy. And the windows, I actually would not put any window treatments on the window. I think the room feels kind of architectural and cool, and there is a view. I just think that the windows are actually quite nice. You could potentially paint the casing of the window, maybe even a richer color that's still in that monochromatic color story that we're talking about. And then the shelf and the bookshelf that's behind the desk is, what about like a piece of art just leaning on that? And that's like your focal point. You come in, you see the window, and you see this really incredible piece of art. And there's maybe a rug on the floor in the office, and then there's a rug on this living room. And I actually love all the plants. I think it feels great. You're kind of bringing the outdoors in and potentially taking, like I like the plant in the foreground on the left, and maybe you actually add another plant like that on the right side, and you're kind of framing that entrance into the office with this greenery. And I think that would look amazing.
Kelly, that's incredible. That is really, truly your mastery at work right there. That was phenomenal to witness. Okay, let's do one more. This photo comes from Sophie. She says, we've just moved into our new apartment and we have wide, high ceilinged hallways that don't have much natural light. I love the arches. We're drawn to a deep blue, but we're not sure if it'll work in this space. What would you recommend in this space in general?
Okay, so here is, it's a space that, so I'm just going to kind of like talk through this. So it's a space that has a lot going on. There is a lot of architecture. You have doors in the foreground. You have another door on the left side that's probably going to another room. You have a portal that kind of lost its way on the right side, like it doesn't come all the way down. You have this long cabinet and then another door at the end. So there's just a lot of architecture going on. So it's like a very confused space. And so how can we pull this together and make it sexy and also functional? Because you can see there is a lot of programming here. So this first portal, what I would do is I would create a series of portals, which is a series of spaces in a hallway or a series of rooms, which is could be really nice and create dimension. And in architecture, it's called enfilade. And so on this first portal, I would create 2 of them. The first pair of doors on the left side, I would actually recreate those on the right side and get rid of that long cabinet. Having tall doors and storage is like incredible to have. And those doors are actually nice. I think they have a nice profile to them. And then also what I would do is I would pinch the width of the portal. So you're really kind of creating like a sense of space. And then you will not see that door on the left side that's going to put, you know, probably another room.
And Kelly, how do you pinch the width of the
You just make
portal?
it like where that portal is. I would just make it, bring it in more. So then you're not going to see where the cabinet is. You're not going to see all the way down. So you're really making that portal cased opening narrower. So you're creating like a series of small rooms. And you can do interesting things with lighting. You can do interesting things like the carpet. You could have like one long rug. You could have 3 different rugs as you're creating these 3 spaces, and then sconces. And I would probably just look at having maybe 2 colors. Like you could have all the millwork, which is the doors and the base molding, could be one color, and then the walls are another color. So it does help to give a sense of dimension in the space.
Beautiful. Wow. And in terms of color itself, you feel like, could this work with a bold color on the walls, or would you steer clear of that given the lack of light?
No, I think it could be, I mean, you could do something that's really dark and sexy. You know, it just depends on what is going on in the other rooms. And you know, it could be with 2 very light shades of white. It could be 2 contrast colors. You know, anything goes, but it really is what are you trying to design into. And we all have these hallways in our house, these corridors, and whether I'm designing a laundry room or a living room, like we put as much love into every space. Because every space you're experiencing it and you're living in it, and every space should be equally as beautiful.
Right. No detail is too small.
Yes.
Thank you for looking at those. That was amazing. By the way, we have a related design challenge for our members. Using the principles from Kelly's class, we're challenging you to transform a space in your home and submit before and after photos in the MasterClass community. 5 members with the best submissions, as determined by Kelly, will be selected and will receive a copy of Kelly's new interior design book, which is called Evocative Style. Check out the MasterClass community for more details on that. Kelly, before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to say?
No, just thank you guys for tuning in, and MasterClass was like so insanely amazing. And I grew so much from it. And it was an incredible experience. Like, and I've told you guys a million times, like, you guys are world class, and just like it was just the most incredible experience like that I've ever had. And it will just remain so close in my heart forever.
That is so incredibly wonderful to hear. Thank you. And thank you for being here today. And to all of you for tuning in and asking such thoughtful questions and submitting your spaces. Our next Masterclass Live is this coming Wednesday, April 29th, with the self-proclaimed gangster gardener, Ron Finley, whose Masterclass on gardening launched today, Earth Day. It's a really incredible class. Ron is teaching us how to grow our own food, keep plants alive and thriving, and how to improve ourselves, our communities, and our planets. I can't think of anything more important right now. So here's to you sprucing up your living room and learning how to grow a thing, all from the comfort of your home. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.